Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Mafex figure unboxing and review. Today, we're kicking off my 1/12 scale X-Men collection with none other than Tiger Stripe Wolverine, my all-time favorite look for Logan. Now, if you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new Mafex X-Men figure review goes live on the channel. You know what? I'm actually glad to be back reviewing 1/12 scale again, because this size of figure is so much easier to work with on camera as compared to 1/6 scale. And the stakes are lower because there's no fragile fabric to watch out for, so it's pure posing. Up front for the box art, an open window showcasing Wolverine and all of his accessories inside. Then down below, it does get a little bit busy. This to me is logo overload. We've got Wolverine, X-Men, Marvel, Mafex, and Medicom. Then again, I suppose it does fit the whole comic book vibe they've got going on. Some comic art in the background with the dot pattern overlaid on top of it, more logos, as well as an image of the figure himself. I might actually prefer this side, honestly. We've got an image of Wolverine's head, an X-Men logo, as well as another picture of the figure. This is more like it. Don't get me wrong, it is still very busy. We've got figure photography absolutely everywhere, more logos, comic book art, and the two-tone effect. Something about the busyness works around the back. It showcases all of his accessories, and they managed to chuck in a snikt as well. They had to use it somewhere on the box, and I'm glad they managed to do it around the back. I've been hearing good things about this X-Men line from Mafex. A lot of y'all have told me, Justin, you need to get back into 1/12 scale, and you have to pick up some of Mafex's X-Men figures. I'm sorry it's taken me so long. Finally, I'm doing it, and first in-hand impressions for Wolverine? So far, so good. I am loving what I'm seeing. What we're going to do now, though, is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box, and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first. This is my all-time favorite 1/12 scale base design. I reckon Mafex nailed it. It's simple, it's compact, it's translucent plastic, so it just blends in with the background. And it's very modular. You don't have to go with the flight pole. You can just go for a straight pole with a waist clamp, or you can remove that, add on the crotch grabber part, and then you can make yourself the ultimate grabber. It's way more secure, and you can plug it onto the top of the flight pole. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. This can be placed on the sides of the base as well, and if you have a second one handy from another Mafex figure, you can install both on the base, or all three if you want to. Then you can have multiple figures facing off against one another, all on the one compact base. This is what I was alluding to, the ultimate grabber. Crotch grabber, waist grabber, all in one. This is going to be super secure. Even in the most dynamic pose, once you clamp this around his waist, I don't reckon he's going to go anywhere. We will, of course, take a much closer look at all of the head sculpts when we actually install them on the body. But for now, know that we get a neutral head sculpt on him out of the box, and an angry masked head sculpt as well. I don't know as of yet which way I'm going to go, but they also give us an uncowled Logan head sculpt, with a cowl to slide onto his neck, so it makes it look like he's just removed it, revealing his face underneath. And lastly, we get some hands. The gloves are painted in metallic blue, and then they've hit the little tunnels that the claws would slide out of. What do I call those things? Let me know down in the comments, but they're painted in metallic silver. And they've also included these bracket pieces to keep the ports at the base of the hands nice and open. These are made out of a softer plastic, so if they didn't have them on these, the holes might close up a little, which would make it tricky to install them onto the wrist pegs. So the clawed hands come on the brackets as well. The claws are huge. They're very long, and they're a little bit prickly, so do be careful not to spike yourself when you're trying to install these onto the body. And then we get two closed fists already installed on him out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Wolverine himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Going into this, I was hoping to find my definitive 1/12 scale Tiger Stripe Wolverine. So is this guy that for me? It's very close. I think he's got enough good stuff going for him that I'm willing to call it. I'm very satisfied with how this guy turned out. He's 99% perfect. There are a couple of things that do bother me, and of course, we will discuss them. But proportions-wise, he's short, stumpy, and muscular, which is exactly what I wanted out of a Tiger Stripe Wolverine. And the color scheme with the bright yellow contrasting against the metallic blue and the black and the red, all of that works for me. So in short, yeah, I think this release is the best at what it does. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Wolverine's first head sculpt. We will try out both the angrier and uncowled ones in just a second. So right off the bat, I like this sculpt. It's not perfect, but I like it. My first complaint is the skin tone doesn't match between the mouth area and the arms. Why are the arms so much more tan compared to the mouth? This is more of a pinkish skin tone. And number 2, there's no facial hair. He's very clean shaven. Number 3, my favorite look for Jim Lee's design for a Tiger Stripe Wolverine is the animated series version. So I would have liked if the wings on the cowl could have flared out a little bit more. None of those things are deal breakers though. I like the expression. We've got some sculpted in frown lines and wrinkles, and he's got some detail for his chin. He's also got a furrowed brow as part of the mask. And the paint, on my copy at least, is relatively clean all the way around. Now that's my Wolverine. Teeth gritted, gums showing, ready to kick some serious butt. The other head sculpt is a nice to have, but in my display, he's always going to be wearing this head sculpt. The paint on this one is also pretty clean. Now, I am tempted to heat up the wings for the cowl and flare them out a little because I reckon that looks even better. I do like this, it's okay. Well, it's actually more than okay. The detail is awesome with the fringe and the furrowed brow and the well-painted eyes and the blue shading on the hair and the cowl hanging down around the back of his neck. You have to slide that over the top of the neck. But I don't think I'm ever going to use it. I'm personally going to go with the angry expression cowled head sculpt. Do weigh in down in the comments below. Do you display your Mafex Wolverine looking like this? Or do you prefer to have one of the masked head sculpts on? I am curious if this head sculpt is going to work on this casual Logan that I got in a 2-pack with Marvel Legends Sabretooth. So let's give that a go. Damn! Unfortunately, it's not compatible. You're going to have to do some dremeling either on the head sculpt or you're going to have to cut off the ball joint on the neck, and I'm not interested in doing that at all. So even though this could have looked really cool, yeah, it's just not possible. Not without modding. Like I said, it is doable, you're just going to have to do some dremeling. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. The tiger stripes, even on this 2.0 reissue version, are still metallic blue. Why are these not black? I know, there are probably some comic book panels out there that show them as being blue. I personally prefer them to be black, and I'm 99% sure everyone else does as well. Weigh in once more in the comments section, blue tiger stripes or black ones. The paint does miss on some of them, and these inserts for the butterfly joints are a little bit weird. They're cumbersome to work with because if you don't align them perfectly, around the front, it breaks up that tiger stripe over his traps, and they always stick out around the back from underneath the yellow. It doesn't line up with the stripes as they extend onto his back. Very odd choice. I would have preferred if they designed this a little bit differently. At least the sculpt work for the musculature on the back is absolutely awesome. There's tons of detail and there's some orange shading over the bright yellow. I don't want to make it sound like I'm hating on this guy. I'm not. I can live with the blue stripes. From a distance, they almost read as though they're black anyway. In my mind's eye, I picture them as black. Maybe that's what's doing it for me. The shoulder pads are done in metallic blue and they're free floating so you can move them around. They have decided to go with metallic blue for the gloves and the trunks and the boots as well. Maybe in the future we can get like an animated series version of this guy and then they can go with more of a flat yellow. This is a bit shiny and they can ditch the metallics entirely. Now the belt is technically adjustable. If you want to push it up to give him that more squat hunch look, that's doable. Or you can push it down, elongate the torso, and go for more of a modern feel for Wolverine. I prefer to leave it up, so that's what I'm going to do. Thank goodness they added the hair onto the arms because it's kind of integral to Wolverine's look. He's a very hairy little dude, so this really needed to be here. And it's printed underneath the bicep as well, so even when you rotate his arm, there's a little bit more detail tucked underneath. With the first version of Wolverine, the bicep did pop off on both arms all the time. With the 2.0, they've fixed it. This is extremely sturdy. Even if you pull on it, I don't think the arm is going to go anywhere. These claws might be a bit polarizing, depending on your own personal idea of what Wolverine's claws are supposed to look like. For me, I think of them as these smaller, spread out blades. But in the comics, sometimes he does have longer and straight-edged claws. The only issue is, these claws could never fit inside dude's forearm. They'd have to go up into the bicep, and with his claws retracted, he wouldn't be able to bend his arm at all because they would be going all the way up to almost his shoulders. You can suspend your disbelief, this is a comic book character. I don't think that is the end of the world. The way they've sculpted the trunks is quite clever because there's some subtle wrinkling in certain places to make it look like they have been pulled over the top of the yellow spandex outfit, and they're a bit baggy over his Canadian booty. Whereas the yellow parts of the suit, there's no wrinkling, it's all smooth, and you can see the musculature. There is, however, some orange shading in the recesses to make that sculpt work pop. Down here for the boots, they flare out exactly as they're supposed to, but more on the outside than the inside. I was always under the impression they flared out evenly, but I don't hate this. I actually like the way it looks. It comes across a bit more dynamic. There's more metallic blue for the rest of the boot. Then on the underside, no sculpted tread, it's nice and smooth. But they have used the signature Mafex ankle joint hiding technique. They've sculpted some excess plastic over the top of the hinge and swivel for the ankle on the outside. So it's not as noticeable as compared to the inside. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, Mafex Wolverine, and on the right, Marvel Legends Sabretooth. A figure that I absolutely love, and as you can see, he towers over Logan. Right now, my 1/12 scale X-Men collection is pretty small, but as these reviews progress and we slowly but surely build out the team, the comparison segment will get more comprehensive as time goes on. Next up, the cowboy hat wearing Logan that came in the 2-pack with that Marvel Legends Sabretooth. He is shorter than his Mafex costumed self. In a pose, I don't think that's going to be a big deal at all. Scaling, for me, is close enough between Mafex and Marvel Legends. Unfortunately, this Mystique is a pretty average figure. This is the one from the VHS line. It's supposed to be her look from the animated series. As you can see, she is a little bit taller than Mafex Wolverine. They could have very easily gone overscaled with Wolverine because he's a fan favorite, right? You want to make him as big and badass as possible. They stuck to their guns, they made him short, and I'm so happy they did because even for a Mafex to Mafex comparison, next to their comic book Spidey, Wolverine is the shorter of the two. Going over articulation, starting off with his head sculpt. It is on a ball joint at the base of the neck, and a double ball peg up underneath the head itself. Combined, looking forward to there, looking up to there, swivel, and pivot side to side. The way they've done the shoulders is a bit unorthodox, let's just say. You do want to try and make sure the stripes line up with this inner butterfly piece and the torso. But if you get too crazy with it, it gets very gappy very quickly. So you'll just have to adjust everything after you've dialed in the pose. The arms will go up to there, the shoulder pads are free floating so they don't get in the way at all. Going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. He does have two joints for the torso, one at the midsection and one at the waist. Crunching forward to there, going back to there, but it does get a little gappy, swivel and pivot side to side. His legs can drop down at the hips, going forward to there, going out to there, and that's where you get the swivel at that hip joint. Double bend at the knee going past 90, swivel at the top of the boots, and a hinge and swivel for the ankles, good for forward and back, rotation, as well as ankle tilt. Plus, toe articulation. Wrapping up on Mafex's Tiger Stripe Wolverine. I reckon I've just found my definitive 1/12 scale Logan. While he's not 100% perfect, he's damn near close enough. The only things that bug me really are the long claws and the blue tiger stripes. Everything else I'm on board with. Is there room, though, in the future for a potential 3.0 fixing the stripes and modifying the claws? Absolutely. But for now, this guy's going to be front and center in my X-Men display as my one and only Tiger Stripe Wolverine. He's essentially everything I was hoping for and more. 3 great head sculpts, awesome articulation, solid paint apps, and comic book accurate proportions. I'm genuinely sorry that it took me this long to get off my ass and finally start reviewing these Mafex X-Men releases. Because if the rest of the line is as good as this guy is, then by the end of this series of reviews, we're going to have assembled a banger of an X-Men collection. Do let me know which Mafex X-Men figure you're most excited to see reviewed next on the channel. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.